listening to?
Oh.
What do you think of the razor?
Oh, what are you doing with that one now?
Got it from Copart. I'm gonna try and get it running.
From Texas.
From Texas. We're gonna have some fun with it.
Okay. You gonna mud it with this one?
Yes.
Okay.
This one is going in the mud. It's already been in the mud. So much so that this thing was swamped. That was the reason why it was at the auction. The only damage that they claimed was flood damage. So the insurance company obviously wrote it off. It's sunk. I took everything off of here in the back, and you can see there is signs of water intrusion. It definitely got water in here. The air filter was gone already. So whoever had this tried to get it running again, and it did not run for them. I went ahead, took the spark plugs out, poured a little bit of transmission fluid in there just to get things moving again, because I suspect that water did get inside of the engine, and I don't want that to be an issue. So let's go ahead and see if we can crank it over a little bit. I checked the oil. The oil does not have any water in it, so the oil system stayed okay. The exhaust was definitely underwater, so you could see there was like mud that caked flying out of it. And what else? That's pretty much it. The rest of the electronics seem to be working. So, oh, and the fuel. I checked the fuel. There's no water in the fuel, so that's a good sign. So let's go ahead and give it a couple turns and see what happens. She's a runner. Anybody who's flooded one of these before knows you gotta make sure there's no water in it. I suspect it just got water inside the intake track and it stalled out on them, and they just weren't able to get it going again. So we got a good running machine. Most likely the primary clutch bearing is toast, went underwater, and obviously hasn't been turned in for a while. So I'm gonna have to probably take the primary clutch apart, lube that all up, maybe replace the bearing. We'll give it a try, but I'm pretty stoked that this thing's running. So there's the primary clutch, and you can see here it's supposed to move on this shaft right here. It's supposed to go in and out, and it's definitely not. So while that's happening, the engagement on the belt is already engaged. So the belt's tight on this, and it's going to be trying to turn that, and we won't be able to get it into gear. So I'm going to spray some stuff in here and see if we can't just work all of these little mechanical joints loose before I take it completely apart. So if I can get it to come loose, that would be super, super convenient. Let's give it a try. All right, so it's the next day. I've got the razor running. I drained the oil. There was water in the oil. I didn't think it was that bad, but apparently it was pretty bad. So drained the oil, got the water out, put new fresh oil in it, and I've been running it for a while, but I'm not convinced that this motor's okay. It's smoking pretty bad, and it just doesn't seem like it's very healthy. So that's too much smoke. That's all oil too. So unfortunately, I think this thing is hurt. So I did straighten out the suspension, got that pretty good, and I'm gonna start looking to see if we can get something to rebuild it. So if you got any suggestions, let me know. We might go up to like 1,000 cc on the rebuild and turn it into something pretty cool. So if you're in the business, if you know anybody who's in the business, and you can reach out to them and let them know that we're building this razor, that'd be pretty cool. I'd love to work with a company on this thing and just make it kind of cool. So long story short, we bought a totaled razor on Copart. We didn't pay much for it, so I wasn't expecting much. I don't want to part it out because I think it's pretty sweet. It's got all the super ATV stuff on it, and I think there's a lot of potential. So I'd like to build it up. I'd like to turn it into something really cool, like a straight up mud machine or something like that. So like I said, if you're in the biz or you know someone who is in the biz, make sure you show them this video and let them know that we are building this RZR. It's a 2011 900 XP, and I used to have a 2012 XP 900. I turbocharged it on E85. It was great, but I'm going on a different approach with this one. This one is the South Florida Cruiser or Crawler or whatever, off-roader, and it's going to be a completely different take on a UTV than what you saw out of the Renly. So let me know what you got. Let me know if you're in the biz and you can help out. We're going to rebuild it. We're going to make it great again. And hopefully we can rage it at some point, but that's too much smoke. I'm not comfortable beating on it like this. It's gonna get us stuck somewhere. So let's help this poor little RZR. Let's get this thing back. You can see here, I'll give you a little rundown of what's going on. We got the super ATV stuff on it here. It's got the factory Fox Podium suspension, which is really good. We got a lot more ground clearance with these arms. Really nice. They're fully adjustable. You can adjust the camber and everything. And it's got them in the back as well. We've got full radius arms. That's pretty sweet. This thing had some more stuff on it. You can tell there's switches everywhere, but it's all gone now. They ripped it all out for the Copart auction. I need a new front hood. That's gone. So if you know anyone who's got one of those, let me know. And it's got that roof, which is okay, better than nothing, but it looks pretty homemade. I don't know. And it's got these horrible little 12-inch wheels, which we've got to do something about that. But first things first, let's get this thing tore down. I'm going to tear it down and start looking into rebuilding the motor. That's going to be a long process, but once we've got everything figured out and we know what we're doing with it, it should go pretty quick. I'd like to say, like I said, I'd like to do like a 1000cc setup on it. I think that there's like some big bore kits out there that would work pretty good with that. So let me know what you got. If you got anybody, put them in the comments or send me an email, jack@horsepowerlogic.com, and let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to work with somebody on this thing. So there you have it. That's the new project. It's a RZR 900 XP 2011. Like I said, we picked it up from Copart. It's not the typical thing that we do at the shop, but it is definitely something that we have fun modifying. So again, if you're in the biz and you want to work with us, let me know. I actually reached out to a few companies and got a response back from a couple, and I will keep you guys informed on that as we talk through what's possible. So plans for this build, first things got to be the motor. That thing is just wasted. The more it ran, the worse it got. It got to the point where literally you couldn't even rev it anymore. So I just shut it down for good. It's still in one piece, so I'm hoping that the block is okay. The crank is probably trash. It was underwater. You could tell this thing was just underwater. So they didn't say the motor was bad, but hey, you can't expect much when you had something submerged like that, and it looks like it was under there for a little while. But everything else seems to work. So all lights work. Everything else is in good working order. So I'll probably drain all the gear fluids and everything out of it. It's got a lock diff, some kind of like aftermarket differential in the back. So it's definitely a off-road only machine. It does not like turning. So that's one kind of negative about it. But as long as we keep it in the dirt or the mud, it's never gonna have a problem. And I've got the Renly if I want to drive somewhere. This thing, we're trailering it and we're getting out there, we're getting dirty. So with that, I want to announce that I'm going to actually create a new line, part of HP, that's going to be directed towards the off-road stuff. So it's going to be called HP Off-Road. And we are creating some merch for that. I'll show you guys a picture here, what we got going. So this is going to be basically the HP Off-Road design. So we'll come out with some shirts, some stickers, and cool stuff, and we'll talk about that more when the time comes. But that's pretty much it. Copart Razor. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and we'll see if we can put something cool together.